In this video, we're diving into one of the most mind-shifting truths taught by Neville Goddard, a truth that, if fully accepted, has the power to change your entire life from the inside out. It's a message that goes against everything you've been told, a message that confronts the deepest fears and limitations you've unconsciously accepted. Neville didn't just speak about manifestation. He spoke about consciousness, about awareness, and most importantly, about the lies we continue to tell ourselves, especially the lie of impossibility. Today, we're going to explore why it's time to stop believing in the impossible. That's right, stop believing that anything is impossible. The real barrier isn't the world outside of you, it's the belief system within you. Through the lens of Neville's teachings, we'll peel back those mental layers and guide you to reclaim the truth, that everything you seek is already yours, but you've been trained to believe otherwise. If you're ready to unlearn impossibility, to step into a world where what once seemed far away becomes real, then settle in. This is not just a teaching, it's a transformation. From the very beginning of our lives, we are conditioned to accept limitations. We are taught what's realistic and what isn't, what's possible for someone like us, and what's out of reach. Neville's teachings are not about chasing fantasies, they're about realizing your identity as the operant power, the creator of your reality. When you say something is impossible, you're not describing the world, you're revealing your inner state. That state then hardens into fact. You've accepted your imagination as weak, and that acceptance begins to filter every thought, feeling, and action. This is how people live entire lives in quiet frustration, not because they didn't work hard, but because they never dared to believe that what they truly wanted was already available. They listen to the voice of the world instead of the voice within. And that inner voice, when awakened, says something radically different. It says, "You are the I am." It says, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." It says, "You become what you believe, not what you try, not what you want, but what you assume as true." So ask yourself, when did you start calling your dreams impossible? When did you stop believing in your own ability to create? The impossible only exists because someone declared it so, and that someone was you. The beautiful part is this, if you created that limitation, you can destroy it just as easily. You don't need anyone's permission to believe again. You don't need the world to agree with you. All you need is to stop giving energy to the lie of impossibility. Because what you believe, truly, deeply believe, must come to pass. And that belief starts with letting go of the lie that there is anything, in any realm, that is outside your reach. What's truly impossible is for you to remain the same once you understand this truth. When you believe something is impossible, you wait for external proof to tell you otherwise, and that is exactly the trap. Neville Goddard made it clear, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. Yet most people are loyal only to what they can see, touch, measure, or justify to others. They say, "I'll believe it when I see it," but the truth is, you'll only see it when you believe it. This isn't motivational fluff, it's a law of consciousness. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner state. If your inner world is dominated by doubt, by thoughts of lack, by rehearsed limitations, then what else could the mirror show you but more of the same? And so the cycle continues, you believe it's impossible, so you don't imagine it vividly, it doesn't manifest, which convinces you that you were right. But you weren't right, you were just committed to the lie. Neville invites you to break that cycle by stepping into a new identity, one that believes not based on facts, but based on feeling. What would it feel like if this were already true? Not in the future. Not someday. Right now. Can you rest in that assumption, even for a moment? That's the seed. That's the spark. But most people dismiss that moment, calling it fantasy. What they don't realize is that this fantasy is the blueprint of creation. Everything you see in the world today, every invention, every work of art, every achievement, began first in imagination. Someone dared to believe when no one else did. Someone trusted the unseen. Someone refused to label their vision as impossible. And now, the very things once called madness are the structures we live in. So how long will you wait for the world to show you permission slips? How long will you beg reality to validate your worth? Neville says you don't need evidence. You are the evidence. Your desire is not separate from its fulfillment. The moment you imagine it and claim it, it is yours. The only thing left is to live as if it is already done. And yes, your mind will resist. Yes, the old story will scream for attention. But your job is not to fix the past, your job is to create from now. Impossibility only lives in memory and fear. Possibility lives in imagination and faith. So which one will you feed? Every second, you are voting for the world you want to live in. You're either casting your belief into doubt, or into destiny. Stop waiting. Stop watching the news. But Neville is clear, the law does not care about your past. It responds only to your present assumption. So when you step into the state of the wish fulfilled, you override every lie that ever told you you're not enough. You do not become arrogant. You become aligned. Aligned with the truth that your desire is divine, and therefore its fulfillment is guaranteed, unless you choose to believe otherwise. And that's the core message, you are always choosing. In every moment, you are either aligning with your desire or your doubt. Every word you speak, every story you repeat, every emotion you dwell in is casting a vote for the future you're walking toward. So choose deliberately. Speak as if it's done. Move as if you're already there. Yes, it will feel strange at first, because you are leaving behind a false self who survived by shrinking. But you are not here to shrink. You are here to expand. And expansion requires courage. It requires imagination. It requires a refusal to agree with limits, not just in theory, but in the daily practice of awareness. So next time you catch yourself saying, "That's too much," or "That could never happen," pause. Ask, who told me that? Do I want to keep living by their rules? Then imagine, even for just one breath, that the opposite is true. Feel it. Name it. Accept it. This is the work. Not because you're trying to get something, but because you're remembering who you are, a creator, not a victim. A master, not a beggar. And when you stop believing in the impossible, the world will start to bend in ways that seem impossible, until they become your new normal. That's when you know you've stepped into true power. Not because you forced reality to change, but because you changed, and reality had no choice but to follow.